Back in October of 2019, I was contacted by a random man by the name of Vincent Decotra. Vincent was claiming to be the PR man for the one and only television host known as the only Chris Hansen. Now, originally when I was contacted, I was a bit skeptical that this was even real. And to my surprise, it was. And Vincent wanted me to go on Chris Hansen's show to talk about the one and only Onision. My thought process in doing this was, wow, this guy has been on television for the last 20 years. Chris Hansen's a really big name. He's somebody who has a reputation for bringing people, quote-unquote, justice. And he wants to interview me, a random YouTuber who's been covering all of his shenanigans for the last 8 years. He wants to talk to me? Me of all people? Why? Why me? I'm a nobody. So I went on his show, and it happened to be one of his biggest, the stream that he did kind of just blew up. Because before this, Chris Hansen's channel was practically getting no views. It had hardly any subscribers. His interview with me got roughly 300,000 views, which is somebody who brings in less than, 1,000 views per video per stream that he was doing prior. That's a big jump in publicity. But right before we did that stream in October, Chris Hansen spoke to me before we started streaming. And at that time, I felt that he was very genuine and authentic. What I soon found out is that he had absolutely zero, zero knowledge base of not only what YouTube is, how it operates, the YouTube community as a whole, proper research and journalism, which is something that he claims to be a lot of, but that he had absolutely no knowledge of who Onision was, outside of, apparently, my coverage of him that he had seen and been told by other people, I guess. I still don't know how exactly Vincent found me. I'm assuming through my videos and coverage of Onision over the last 8 years. I was just really surprised. You have this guy who's this investigative journalist, or so he claims, and he literally knows nothing about this guy, and he's asking me to pretty much spoon feed him. And I actually don't mind spoon-feeding somebody if it helps educate them and brings more awareness to a particular person. But at that time, I was under the impression that Chris Hansen wanted to bring justice, he wanted to bring publicity to a story, and I was in fact promised things that, for the most part, have never been met up to the standard that he promised me. One of the first things that he was very adamant on telling me was that this guy is going to go to prison, this guy is going to go to jail, this guy has been doing all these horrible things, he's done so many crimes, justice is going to be served, Onision is going to be locked up behind bars. And I'm thinking to myself, like, is this guy for real? Like, does Chris Hansen have, like, this super knowledge of things that even I don't know about Onision that maybe I'm missing here? I don't know. Because I just reiterated all the stuff that I've made about videos on Onision to Chris, and then Chris took that and made this whole spiel about how the FBI is going to break down his doors, he's going to be arrested, he's going to be, all of these things are going to happen, and all this buzz around Onision going to prison and Onision going to jail was actually from Chris Hansen. It was never from me. It was Chris Hansen taking what I've spoken about in my videos and the things I've talked about and making promises to not only victims, but also people outside on the third party saying, this is what's going to happen, support me, watch me, when nothing actually moves forward. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I talking about my experiences with Chris before the stream even went live? There's a fantastic article recently written by the Mel magazine, and I recommend you click this. It is linked down below in the description. It's a very, very big, long article. There's a lot of receipts and a lot of evidence here. But essentially, this guy was able to talk to one-on-one with Chris Hansen, and Chris Hansen confirmed that he sold the rights to the Onision story to Investigation Discovery. He sold the rights to the Onision. This is really important that you focus on this fact. Chris Hansen sold the rights to the quote-unquote Onision story. What story, man? Honestly, realistically, what story is there to sell about Onision that already hasn't been covered through lots of other creators? The real only legality of a crime that Onision has committed was the destruction of wetlands. Don't ask me how that video got 2 million views, I don't know. And I've said throughout the years, Onision has the reputation of always doing things right on the legal line. Thus, if he's doing things right on the legal line at the very, very tip of the edge, he's not actually committing a physical crime legally that can be prosecuted if that's how he operates. Like, he can do all horrible things, he can bring people into his house that shouldn't be living with him, he can tiptoe around everything on the legal aspect, and if he crosses all of his T's, then technically nothing's going to happen on a criminal level with him. So what exactly is this story? Secondly, why is it quote-unquote your story to tell? I don't claim to be the person who owns a story about covering Onision. Discovery shouldn't be claiming to have the story about Onision. You shouldn't be claiming to have the story of Onision. All you've been doing, Chris, is regurgitating every single thing that other creators have done and put out on the internet with this high-tier supposed expose of new information. There's nothing new. You've done nothing new about any of this. You've repeated and regurgitated the same stuff everyone else already has, and you're trying to pass it on as your own. Nobody should be owning the rights to the Onision story. That's insulting, not only to the creators, but about the people that he's actually harmed and hurt throughout that process. That's even more insulting. Like, what is this show? What is this show going to be? Some sort of dramatization? Is Discovery gonna hire some person who looks like me? A skinny white boy with emo hair? Are they gonna hire an actor to replicate Onision? Like, this raises a ton of questions and really, for me, showcases what Chris's intent was covering Onision to begin with, which is to create some imaginary show on a story on a YouTube creator who a lot of people don't like, sell it, and make money from it. And look, at the end of the day, I don't care if people make money on this platform, but if you're going towards it in a way to intentionally exploit people, creators, when you can't actually do any of the work yourself, I think that's a scummy thing to do. So I reached out to the guy who wrote the article, which again, I recommend you check out. It's linked down below in the description. Now, I did reach out to the guy who wrote the original article, and he gave me a transcript, but he asked me to keep that private in between our email exchanges, and I'm going to do that, but I'm going to paraphrase here. Essentially, what Chris Hansen says to him is that he's not a YouTube guy at all. He's always been on television, and that his channel's exponential growth has brought in millions of viewers, and that he wants to keep using his YouTube audience and grow it and keep pushing it forward as far as he possibly can, which involves selling and doing a deal with Investigation Discovery on a TV show in regards to Onision. This is from the transcript of the guy who interviewed Chris Hansen one-on-one. You can check out his article. It's linked down below in the description. I recommend you go through it. It's really important that you get the full grasp and the scope of what's happening behind the scenes here, and why I don't think this is acceptable on any level. It's nobody's story to tell. Chris, let me ask you a sincere question, because I know you've had some financial issues in the past, a lot of them. And that's fine, everybody has issues and things that they struggle with. But since you have so many financial issues, do you mind disclosing how much you sold the rights to the Onision thing to a television network? I'm very, very curious on that, because it really goes to show what your true intention was with covering Onision, was to create a story from it on false promises, and then sell it to a television network to get more coverage, and so you can probably pay off thousands upon thousands of dollars in debt. I honestly cannot believe that this is happening. This is ongoing. And you can bet your honey buns that me and other creators are going to hammer Investigation Discovery for doing this. What's it like to be a journalist who gets spoon-fed everything, only then to exploit people who have been alleged victims, and use other creators' work to pass on your own and then make a television show from it? I guess we'll see where the future holds with this Onision story, because quite frankly, all you've given has been false promises, and that's not going to be a good start for a television show. Alright. Rant done. I had to get this off my chest because this is really, really frustrating to me. I recommend you follow my Twitter. I'm really active on there. I post a lot of live updates. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss notifications or my videos, since YouTube seems to be always a hit and miss with my content pushing out to people who want to watch me. Special thanks to all of my patrons, and I will catch you guys in a few days for James Soroka Part 2 and the EA Files.